Is this kind of the Mona Lisa of its kind?
Yes.
Yes, not maybe, yes.
Yes.
If you ever been to Disney to the Cars park, Homie here had a little bit to do with it.
Homie.
I've learned if you just go with your gut and keep the budget half-ass right, then you might wind up making more money than you even intended because it's so good. So this is part 2 of the Chip Foose story. And I can tell you, the comments from part 1, look right here. Best car video ever made. I was crying watching this. If you missed part 1, go back and grab part 1, because this is some killer stuff. The craft and the art and the style of building these multi-million-dollar cars, and it really gives you a behind the scenes of why Chip Foose is the GOAT. Most people don't know that you had a hand in the 0506 Ford GT.
You're right. The 2005 GT was not even in Ford's radar. If you remember the Ford 49 show car,
Yeah.
If you look at, I believe it was issue number 9 of Rodder's Journal, which had all of my sketches in it. There was one 2-page spread in Rodder's Journal, and I had the Sniper illustration in there, which is a car that I built with Troy Trepanier. Down in the lower right-hand corner was a 51 Ford Victoria. And Jay Mays from Ford saw that sketch and called me and said, I'd like to build that 51 for Detroit this year. And I asked him, I said, well, do you want it to be from an original 51 or do you want to start with a full-size clay model? He says, let's do a clay model. So I built the clay model for Ford. The first time that Jay Mays came out and saw the model full size, he says, I don't want to go to Detroit with that this year. I want to take this to production.
That's quite a compliment.
And if you remember the Ford 49 show car, had that all glass roof, the real nice little chrome molding on the top and down the side. That's the car I designed with Ford. And I was working on the show car and I was doing the interior sketches one day that a group of us that were working on the car, we went to a diecast store and I bought a 1/64th scale model of the GT40. So I grabbed a diecast and then at lunchtime, I did like a 20-minute, half-hour sketch of a modernized GT40. And then I made a color copy and wrote a note to Jay Mays. I said, Jay, I have a customer interested in building this. Do you think Ford would like to get involved? And I put that on top of all the interior sketches from the Ford 49. I sent that package to him. The next day at 8 o'clock in the morning, I get a phone call from Jay. Tell me about this GT40. And I said, well, like I say, I've got a customer that wants to build it. I was hoping maybe Ford would like to get involved.
I guess they do.
And he says, well, who all knows about this sketch? And I said, just my customer and I. He says, who's your customer? And I laughed. I said, it's me. He says, I want to build that here. So I went back there 4 different times and worked on the clay model. And the first time that I went back there was when I was still on the 49 and Jay calls me and he says, hey, I built a GT40. And I said, I thought I was going to be involved with this. He says, well, I got really excited about it and I built a pushmobile, but I want you to come look at it. So he flies me back there and we walk in the studio and there's a red show car sitting in the middle of, I believe it was just a pushmobile sitting in the middle of the studio. And there was a 1/18th scale GT40 diecast, original from the 60s, sitting there and a couple pictures of GT40s. And we walked in there and I'm looking around. He says, what do you think? And I said, where is it? And he says, that's it. And he points to the red show car.
Right.
And I said, no. I said, you can't do that. You'll get laughed at if you call that a GT40. I said, that looks like the next generation Fiero. And he looked at me, he says, really? And I said, yes. And it was a beautiful car, but it was just this real simple, straight lines. It looked like I say, the next generation Fiero. Just a little sports car. It did not look like a race car. And I said to Jay, I said, what you need to do is go get a real GT40, bring it in here, scan it, blow it up a little bit, and then we start working on the clay and refining it. But if this car doesn't scream, put me on a racetrack, it's not a GT40. And that's exactly what we did. I worked with Jay and Camilo Pardo and went back there.
And Camilo Pardo
is the Ford designer that has been credited with the GT40.
Camilo Pardo. Camilo, come on in, my friend.
Hey, Jay. How you doing?
You did a gratitude. You did a great job on this car.
Thanks. We had a great team on it.
I'm a little guy out in California. Ford pays a lot of designers and they've got shareholders. They can't tell their shareholders, we're paying millions of dollars to all these people here, but we went out to Southern California and paid this individual.
The guy that's got a shop next to the taco stand.
Yeah. So I was just a consultant.
But they paid you.
Oh, yeah. They did pay well.
Oh, I'd be pissed if they didn't let me get the design credit for the GT40, Ford GT, call it whatever you want. You know the reason they call it a GT40 is because in Le Mans, it's got to be 40 inches off the ground. Said he got paid nicely. And, brothers got to get paid. You can't live on water and air alone. So would you rather have the notoriety or would you rather have a check? It's been long enough now you can talk about it.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years.
But I got to have the fun doing it.
Right.
And that's, for me, what it's all about. When I build a car here, my favorite moment of having built a car is when the owners comes in and sees it for the first time finished. You don't get to do that with a company like Ford.
Right.
Because you're building it as a team. It gets to go out and the public sees it. It's not that you just made somebody's lifelong dream come true with their car.
Did they happen to give you a car?
There was supposed to be a car that was going to be mine, but you remember they had the front axle or the front A-arms, the problem with the front A-arms?
Kind of. I was a Ford dealer in 05.
Yeah, they had to remanufacture all the front A-arms. They had a recall immediately when the GT40s came out. And they had car number 7 of the first 10 prototypes was my car originally. I was working with Ford Motor Company. They had that A-arm problem. My contract with Ford was in place and it had a GT40 coming to me. Then they had the A-arm problem. While they were working on the A-arms, my contract ended. When the car came back, they said, okay, we have car number 7 for you, but we need 120 grand. We can't give it to you now. And my wife wouldn't let me spend the 120 grand. I wish I had, because that was one of the first, the first 10 prototypes. And
I'm sorry,
I was really
did that
bummed.
to you. One of 50,000 things.
I sold 3 other cars to a gentleman in Kuwait, and we got quite a large check for those 3 cars. She took that money and went and bought one and gave it to me for my 40th birthday. So there's a 50th birthday.
Happy ending there.
Yeah.
On that note, with this crazy history and just success after success, what do you want to do with the rest of your career?
I'm already doing it.
Building cars.
But
is there another thing is there another keystone?
There has been a dream of mine for 35 years. I always wanted to rebody a Duesenberg, because when you bought a Duesenberg, you bought a chassis. Then it went to a coach builder and you got a designer. They designed your body and the coach builders built it. Then it was registered as a new car when it was finished. I always thought, that to me is the ultimate for a designer to work with a coach builder.
Right,
so I have the Duesenberg, Rob and Jeannie Hilardi's. They bought a Duesenberg. We've pulled the body off. I'm working on the drawings now, but I'm hoping that within 2.5, 3 years from now, we're going to have a Duesenberg to present to everybody.
For people watching who don't build cars, what Chip just described is the difference between a $300,000 build and a $5 million build. There is a difference. Gone in 60 Seconds, you did the Eleanor, and then y'all mass produced it. You just licensed it, didn't you?
It was interesting. I was approached by Jeff Mann, who was the art director for Gone in 60 Seconds. And he presented me with a drawing that was done by Steve Stanford. And Steve was one of my heroes. When I looked at the drawing, it looked like a customized Mustang. And I said to Jeff, can I redesign this a little bit? He says, sure. And what I wanted to do was do a design that looked more like what Carroll Shelby or Ford Motor Company would have done had it been a production car. It needed some cut lines in it and things that look like bolt-on parts rather than flared fender and that kind of thing. So I redesigned it a little bit. So I say that Steve Stanford and myself both designed this car because it was his inspiration. They needed 15 cars in 4 weeks. And I did a full-size clay model with all the cut lines and everything in it. And it was just presented in primer to Jerry Bruckheimer along with Ray Claridge from Cinema Vehicle Services, who had a finished, polished, custom Mustang there, which looked just like Steve's drawing. So we presented both cars. Jerry looked at Ray's car first, then he came over to mine, and he says, how come it's not painted? I said, I only had less than 2 weeks to get this to him and present it. And I said, this is what I've done. And I showed him the cut lines and the purposes and everything that made it look more like a production car. Like, this is what it would have been had that design become a production car. And Jerry says, I like this one. Let's go with this car. I walked over to Ray Claridge and said, how many cars do you have ready to put your body kit on? He says, I've got 13 cars in the works that I've already done suspension, steering, this. I said, okay, let's do this. I'm going to pull molds off of all these clay parts that I've built, and I'll deliver the parts to you. We'll pull the molds and start making parts. You finish your cars and I'll deliver parts to you. So in the 4 weeks that we had, we delivered 7 cars, and then we delivered 2 cars a day to finish what they needed.
Right.
What we did is we got their shot list, what they needed to start shooting the movie. They needed cars that could jump, cars that could corner, cars that they could put cameras on so areas were cut out so they could film. And we did everything in...
But then the guys in Dallas, because you and I were in that body shop a few months ago, and you said, hell, we painted Mustangs in here.
Yeah,
in
that
Fort
was
Worth.
Yeah, that was not the Eleanors. That was the Foose Stallions.
Oh, okay. I had it
Yeah.
backwards.
And we did about 600 or 700 of those.
Really?
Yeah. That were sold through Ford dealerships.
I had no idea. See, I'm learning something new every day. If you ever been to Disney, to the Cars park, homie here had a little bit to do with it. Homie. And yeah, the whole Cars Disney thing blew me back. I learned that later in our relationship. And I'm just like, dude, you've just got to be shitting me. Are you kidding me? And he told me this whole story about Disney and Cars and Ramone and the new livery for Speed McQueen and Radiator Springs in Disneyland was my inspiration for Walnut Springs, Texas. Walnut Springs, Radiator Springs, get it?
Well, I got involved with the second film. I originally met John Lasseter and his group of designers at the SEMA show when I unveiled the Speedbird, which was a 2002 T-Bird that I customized for the SEMA show. And John Lasseter fell in love with it. He asked me what it would cost to build one of those for his wife in all pearl white. I gave him a price. He never built the car. But he asked me where's another show that he could take his designers to for inspiration for the film. So I said, you could go to Pleasanton to the Street Rod Nationals, the good guys Street Rod Nationals. And we all met up there because they were in, Pixar's right up there near Pleasanton, 20 minutes away. So I met everybody out there. And if you're familiar with Christopher Titus, stand-up comic.
Yes.
He had a TV show back then.
That's the guy building the other vet.
The other Corvette.
Yeah.
So I had built a 56 Chevy handyman wagon for him. And flamed it. It was red with flames. And when John Lasseter saw the flames on that car, he fell in love with them. And he told me, he says, in the movie, we have a character named Ramone. It's a purple 59 Chevy. I want to flame him. I like your flames. Would you be interested in designing the flames and the graphics for Ramone? I said, sure. They brought me up to Pixar, which was an amazing, and the way that they presented the film to me, you go down.
You said the walls were just covered with stuff.
Just covered with drawings. And it was first scene, second scene, third scene, fourth scene, fifth scene, on both sides of the room. Then you go to the next room, and it continued. And this whole group of rooms, they would do the whole film. And then when they would change a scene, they would just change that out. But they walked me through the whole film where these characters were at. And each of the storyboard designers acted out the film, their lines that the characters would be speaking. So they introduced me to Ramone, who is the town painter with nobody in town. So he's always painting himself.
Sounds like Walnut Springs.
Yes. So Ramone during the film is always painting himself.
Right.
And he's got different graphics to show people. So I designed the different graphics that Ramone was in the first film. And then at the end of the film, Lightning McQueen ends up with a couple different designs. I did those for the first film. Then the second film is when he was going international. Now we need to do different lights, different wheels, different wings, and all new graphics for Lightning McQueen. So I did all that work for Pixar. And then also Ramone, again, as he's going to different countries, he had different paint schemes. And one of my favorite was the British flag on Ramone for one of the races.
And then the part he leaves out is they were so happy with all this when they build Cars Land, they call him to help do design and boards and ideas.
Well, John Lasseter called me. He says, hey, we're going to build Radiator Springs, the whole little town of Radiator Springs, in the original parking lot from Disneyland. They took 12 acres, which actually works out to, it's Disneyland's parking lot, but it's in California Adventureland. Built Radiator Springs. John Lasseter calls me and says, we're going to do this. And groundbreaking day is this date. Can you paint a hard hat like Ramone, purple with the flames? So I painted his hard hat, and he told me, he says, I'd like you to be there. I went, and when John got done with the first scoop with this tractor, just tore up a big part of the parking lot.
Right.
Then he came over to me, he put his hand on my shoulder, and he says, I need your help here in the park. I said, what do you need me for? And he says, Cheech Marin is Ramone's voice in the film. He says, but you're his talent. You are his living talent. He says, what I would like you to do, come in here anytime you want while we're building it. And anything you see in here that you think Ramone would have painted or put his hands on, that's your job. So for 2.5 years, I walked through there. But then I also designed all the colors and the wheels for the ride. And then I got to design merchandise that was in there. I got to test all the food that was going to be sold in there and helped with the design of some of the clothing. I had an absolute blast for 2.5 years working with Pixar and Disney on that park.
So you're Bobby Alloway. You're in town to hang out with this guy. Alloway's a great builder. He's a big deal like Foose. He's got a gazillion cars. And he had this car show at Dollywood forever. And then that changed. They couldn't use the parking lot anymore. And he's doing the Triple Crown of Rotting. Is it a good guy's competitor? Of course it is. Are they all friends? I assume so. But from what I saw when I went to Nashville, this is the best in the country as far as that style of car show. Did he bring us our tires?
Yes.
Let's go check them.
John owns Boydster.
Oh, cool.
We own Boydster.
That's one of those Brookville bodies.
Right.
What I would do to the back of it. And then change the car.
Who's this here?
That's you.
Oh.
I got to draw the beard. Fuzzy line there.
Don't you wish we were still that age?
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. And that was like 2006, maybe?
Was it? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, 20 years ago. I feel like that.
I do too.
Hey, how you doing, John?
Good. Nice to see you, sir.
Yeah, I was out there, Chip, for the debut of this car right here.
Yeah.
So is this kind of the Mona Lisa of its kind?
Yes.
Yes. Not maybe. Yes.
Yes. It was.
So I'm like the luckiest son of a bitch in the world that I got the phone call?
This car was
There's our new
way
logo.
ahead of its time.
You know, I buy cars for a living at scale. And when people like Chip Foose call me on a car, I listen because that's typically where history is hiding. And in history, there might be some profit.
I first met Boyd when he worked at Disney.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted him to make me a door handle and a dash bezel for a car that I was doing. And Pete Shaporch gave me his number. And
Pete gave you Boyd's number?
Uh-huh.
That's fun.
Are you going to the show next Saturday? Or is it Thursday?
It's this week.
Yeah, I judge it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
The Impression's going. This is going. That's going. And
Oh, wow.
And the DeSoto next door is going too.
Everything's going.
And I got a lot of work to do this tonight still.
So you are in a rush.
Yeah.
So maybe I need to get the hell out of your way.
Well, I'd be working if you weren't here.
Okay, let me get done. Dude, thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
We still got to get the wheels back here.
We're out of sunny California, back in icy Fort Worth, Texas. What a week. It was really fun. And we got a lot done. And I miss my family, and I'm ready to get home. Remember, subscribe, guys. It's free. By the way, we do a Cars, Coffee, and Quesadillas the last Sunday of every month in Walnut Springs, Texas, 9 a.m. Meet at the GMTV garage. Bring your badass cars. We'll walk across the street to Bosque Cantina. Bosque Cantina, the food is just banging. And then we go drive.